Well, a quarter of Kiwis are shift workers, but this will increase with more retail, late nights and work deadlines leading up to the holidays. With shift workers at increased risk of health problems, fatigue and accidents, Dr. Frances Pitsilis is here to look at how to combat the ill effects. Good morning to you, Dr. Frances.
Morning, Carly.
Our Alfie always seems to love coming to see you.
Yes.
What exactly is shift work in this modern day of everybody working all the time?
Well, it's theoretically starting before 8 a.m, finishing after 6 p.m, but of course we know that a lot of people work late. Anything also that disrupts your sleep patterns is shift work.
Okay, and what sort of illnesses are we susceptible or health problems do shift workers typically get?
Well, when you can't get the sleep at the right time that your body wants it to, which is between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m, your body doesn't get enough melatonin, so it gets more inflamed. As a result, all chronic illnesses can get worse, like cancer, blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, peptic ulcer, obesity, diabetes, psychological and relationship problems, organ problems.
Right.
Yeah.
And how can someone tell, because you don't know what you don't know and you're just sort of plodding on through life, how can you tell if you're shift work, if that is the problem and that is actually affecting you?
Well, basically, you're suffering the effects of sleep deprivation. You're starting to find that you're not thinking properly, you're not functioning properly, you're not as efficient, and you're starting to get more health problems, you're more at risk of accidents, and you start to realise that you're getting more fatigue and your vigilance and alertness is not there.
Okay, hence the being prone to accidents, and car accidents and things. So what sort of lifestyle advice do you give to shift workers? Because we can't all just choose to work between 8 and 6.
Yes, now I think it's important for shift workers to be aware of this because they can make their lives easier and better if they are doing afternoon or night shift to be able to go to sleep as soon as they get home. Have some starch, which makes you sleepy as you're winding down, and then have as much sleep as you can get at that time. Don't drink. When you're on the shift, you should make sure you take food that's high protein and no starch or sugar, because high protein keeps you awake and keeps your energy up, whereas starch and sugar makes you tired.
That's so interesting, because sometimes I can get to the middle of the day and think I've had no protein yet, and you sort of need to. What about exercise?
Well, exercise is very good because it increases your resilience and your alertness and your performance. Now, in some cases, employers know about people sleeping on the job. Now, in a night shift, 3 a.m. is the best time because that's your lowest ebb. And if you're at home recovering, the afternoon at 3 p.m, they're the lowest times in your cycle. Now, if you have a half an hour nap, you will restore your performance.
So sleeping on the job and sleeping in the afternoon just as the kids is coming home is actually okay?
Yes, if you can cope with the kids coming home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the only other thing is that employers are going to be making sure that you regularly get recovery time so that you can get 2 full nights of sleep at the right time before going back on shift.
Yeah, okay, so that never ending, that's a really good point. What about, I've worked late night news reading and found it really tricky to go to sleep after I've got home because of the surge of adrenaline. My thing was that I just had to go to sleep as soon as I would get home, because if I stayed awake any longer I'd be up for hours.
Yes.
I know some people use sleeping pills to assist them. What would you recommend? Would you recommend that for shift workers?
I think it's a worry that shift workers might consider or ask for sleeping pills. I think you're right about the adrenaline surge. You're still in performance mode or you're still in work and drive home mode. So I think winding down, having some starch and taking melatonin. Why? Because you were robbed of melatonin and that's why you're getting more inflamed and at risk of chronic illness. Melatonin is safe and it restores what you lost and helps you to go to sleep.
And we lose that melatonin because we're not sleeping at the right time, is that right? And our body can only make that between which hours of the day?
Well, to be honest, melatonin goes up when darkness comes.
Right, so if you're
awake during darkness and you're not asleep, you're not getting your melatonin.
Okay, and you can only last for so long without melatonin.
Exactly.
Is that easy enough prescribed by your local GP?
No, it's really straightforward and the GPs are prescribing it.
Okay. Can anyone do shift work?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me too.
Having met a lot of shift workers, what I've noticed is that some people are just not suited to it. They just don't cope. I think it's harder if you're older and you've got health problems. And I think one of the most important things about it is if you've just got married and you don't see your wife, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Or if you enjoy your friends and your social life and you can't do it, that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
So it's the social disruption that can be an important factor.
Absolutely. Hey, that's great advice and really timely as always. Thanks, Dr. Frances. We'll see you next week.
Pleasure, thank you.
And if you are concerned by anything we've discussed this morning, please contact your own healthcare professional.